Genesee Brewery here in Rochester spark an Erie Canal comeback? It's the subject of this week's Good Question with Pat Taney. And Pat, this has to do with those beer tanks shipped on the Erie Canal.
Yeah, you know, Nikki, created so much buzz, right? So is the Erie Canal reclaiming its past as a major commercial transport route?
Those fermentation tanks on the Erie Canal brought business.
We've employed people in the various ports, the folks that were working the transportation down the canal.
And crowds who watched in awe.
I kind of wanted to come down here to see this history in making.
The canal, which opened in 1825, was once a major commercial transport route connecting Albany and Buffalo. By the 1950s, the railroad and the St. Lawrence Seaway put a dent in business. At its peak, some 33,000 commercial vessels used the canal per year. Today, that number is just under 4,000. But after Genesee's big trip, will there be renewed interest? First, was it even worth it for Genesee?
Is it cheaper to use the canal than the other mode of transportation you could have used?
Well, there really only was two options when it ultimately came down to it. We could build the tanks in pieces and transport them here in pieces and then actually do the erection and welding, final welding here on site, or build them as a whole and then ship them down the Erie Canal.
And in terms of quality and cost, the canal was the best and cheapest option.
Do you know about how much you saved?
It was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It was not seamless. Heavy rains caused delays.
That caused us about a 2-week delay in getting the tanks here.
But in the end, it worked out for Genesee.
Will you use the Erie Canal again?
Oh, absolutely. This has been a very successful transportation method for us.
As far as a big canal comeback, don't bet on it.
There's not a lot of circumstances, I think, where the Erie Canal may be a viable option.
Yeah, he's right. Smaller cargo, still much easier, faster, and cheaper to ship via train or truck. I can tell you business did increase last year. Listen to this. More than 160,000 tons of cargo moved through the canal, the most in more than 2 decades. This year, they expect 200,000 tons. If you have a good question I'd like to hear from you, send me an email, goodquestion@whec.com. Right now.